happening? Call an ambulance.
A nurse attempts to communicate with a patient using an alphabet board. The patient is unable to speak and blinks to convey messages. After blinking at the letters M, U, and R, the nurse quickly realizes that the patient is indicating an attempted murder. 5 weeks earlier, a doctor is examining the same patient, Catherine. He informs her that she has experienced severe head trauma, resulting in damage to her brainstem, which has left her immobile. Catherine has just recently awakened from a 3-day coma and currently lacks the ability to blink or exhibit emotions. A flashback reveals a terrifying moment when a speeding car aimed to hit her while she was in the woods. After the doctor leaves, a nurse, Nikki, approaches Catherine. She encourages Catherine to attempt moving her left eye, but Catherine is unable to comply. Nikki meets with Lena, the only family member Catherine has. She explains to Lena that Catherine is suffering from locked-in syndrome, preventing her from controlling her body, rendering blinking her sole means of communication. Unfortunately, Catherine's injured eye further complicates her situation. Overwhelmed by emotion, Lena asks Nikki if Catherine will ever recover and reassures her that she will. This prompts Lena to share Catherine's background, leading to a flashback. She recounts how, after her mother died when Lena was just a child, Catherine became her legal guardian. They moved into a lavish estate together, where Catherine was a celebrated and wealthy television actress. Lena admired her greatly, idolizing her glamorous lifestyle. Everything changed, however, when Catherine's husband passed away unexpectedly, cutting her out of his will and leaving everything to their son, Jamie. This led to a rift between Catherine and Lena as envy and resentment began to grow. Lena recalls the special bond she shared with Jamie, where, while they played in the garden, Jamie suffers a seizure. Lena quickly calls for Catherine and they rush to help him. Through their dialogue, it becomes evident that Jamie has suffered health problems throughout his life, making him delicate and frail. Later that evening, Catherine is dressed elegantly, and when Lena asks about her plans, Catherine tells her that she has a meeting for a new television role. It has been nearly 2 years since Catherine last acted, following her husband's death. Meanwhile, the two children enjoy a movie night, forming a connection. Jamie's mother died shortly after his birth, and his father remarried Catherine, who Jamie does not seem to get along with. In comforting Jamie about his step-parent, Lena promises to always protect him. Returning to the present, Nikki and Lena continue their conversation about Catherine. She brings up the rumors that Catherine was hit by a car, driven by an unknown person. Yet Lena hesitates to agree with these claims. Nikki then inquires about Lena's relationship with Catherine, leading the latter to admit that it's complicated. Lena begins to recount further events. 3 years ago, Lena and Jamie are not just close, but are also getting married, their friendship having blossomed into romance. While family members seem to celebrate, Catherine views Lena with suspicion, believing her to be after Jamie's wealth. Though she keeps her thoughts to herself, her biting remarks suggest her disdain. During the wedding, Jamie suffers a serious seizure that interrupts the dancing. A family doctor, Mr. Lawrence, transports him to his bedroom for care. Although he knows Jamie well, Mr. Lawrence's understanding of chronic illnesses is limited. In the present, Nikki, confused, asks Lena if she remembers her, with Lena appearing unsure. The nurse mentions caring for Jamie during his illness a few months prior, which jogs Lena's memory. The relationship between Lena and Catherine continues to deteriorate over time. There is very little direct communication, both women harboring distaste for one another. Jamie's health worsens further, compounded by a growing addiction to painkillers. Lena pleads with him to stop, but he blatantly refuses. One evening, in search of mental clarity, Lena decides to take a dip in a nearby lake. On her way, she encounters Mr. Lawrence, who makes an inappropriate advance, suggesting she should spend more time outside. Lena declines, explaining her commitment and responsibilities at home. Diving into the cold water, she tries to relax until the sound of bells ringing causes alarm. The bells are Jamie's distress signal, so Lena rushes back to the house, only to find him unconscious after yet another seizure. Nikki tends to Jamie at the hospital. And when she spots Mr. Lawrence, she questions him about his prescription of painkillers, concerned about the dosage he prescribed for someone so fragile. Lawrence, feeling cornered, takes her outside and confronts her for challenging his medical decisions. After their heated exchange, Nikki begins to view him as a potential threat. Later, Lena confronts Mr. Lawrence about her concerns regarding Jamie's condition. While she deeply loves him, she's becoming weary of the endless care and feels he may not truly want to recover. Lawrence suggests she take some time for herself and enjoy life. That night, Lena has a troubling dream where she finds herself swimming alongside Lawrence, which leads to a moment of intimacy, awakening her feelings for him. As days pass, Lena and Lawrence grow closer, sharing playful encounters while at home. She remains troubled and glum. Tension rises between Lena and Catherine, and Jamie's health worsens further as he now requires a respirator at night. One stormy evening, feeling overwhelmed, Lena succumbs to temptation and sleeps with Mr. Lawrence in a barn, seeking to relieve her frustrations. A few days later, they celebrate Catherine's birthday with a small gathering. Mr. Lawrence is also in attendance as Lena plays a touching song on the piano to honor her mother-in-law. However, the celebratory mood shatters when Catherine makes caustic comments about Lena's late mother, suggesting jealousy over her achievements. Lena defends her mother adamantly, and their argument escalates, leading to Lena to storm off after declaring that the estate now belongs to herself and Jamie. That night, Lena and Jamie enter into a furious dispute, with Lena airing her grievances about her stifled life and caregiving role, which Jamie fiercely retaliates against by reminding her of her past. The next morning, Lena confides in Lawrence, expressing her desire to leave Jamie for him. However, Lawrence is unwilling to be involved with her while Catherine is still alive, fearing it will damage his reputation. When Lena insists on her willingness to do whatever it takes to be with him, Lawrence finally agrees, but warns that they must be strong. They share yet another intimate moment. In the following scene, Mr. Lawrence prescribes Jamie a new medication that temporarily alleviates his pain. He takes him out on a leisurely boat ride across the pond for a picnic. Concerned about Jamie's strength, Lena expresses her worries, but Jamie reassures her. During the boat trip, they reach a secluded little island, where Lawrence suddenly stops and begins behaving oddly, making Lena uneasy. When Jamie questions where they are headed, Lawrence's demeanor remains unsettling. Arriving at the other side of the island, Lawrence greets workers, but throws one of his paddlers into the water. In a calculated move, he capsized the boat. Lena frantically grabs Jamie, trying to keep him above water, only for Lawrence to drag Jamie under. In horror, Lena witnesses her husband drown in front of her. Heartbroken and devastated, she recalls that Jamie was her first love. After the incident, the police arrive, and Lawrence spins a fabricated story, while Lena remains silent about the truth, terrified of being implicated in Jamie's death. Meanwhile, Catherine sobs at the edge of the pond, still mourning her son, despite their rough relationship. Returning to the present, Nikki grows increasingly suspicious, suggesting that Jamie's death was not an accident. She questions Lena about allowing the boat trip, but Lena insists it was Jamie's idea. Nikki also inquires about Lena's affair with Mr. Lawrence, which leads Lena to stutter as she struggles to explain. Nikki speculates that they may have conspired to get rid of Jamie, but Lena vehemently insists it was all accidental. In the past, Lena grapples with recurring nightmares after Jamie's death. One night, Lawrence sneaks into her room, seeking comfort, and despite everything, her trust in him remains strong. The next evening, they meet in his car, with Lena yearning to leave town for good. Lawrence agrees, but tells her she must sell the estate first to get enough money to start fresh. Refusing to betray Catherine, whom she still loves, Lena tells him of her promise never to sell the estate. While trying to leave, Lawrence forcibly pulls her back inside and threatens her. He reveals that her diary contains incriminating details about Jamie's death, using it as leverage against her. Once inside the house, Lena is stunned to discover a heart-wrenching scene. Lawrence is with Catherine, rekindling their romance. Devastated, Lena realizes Lawrence never truly cared for her. He only wanted her wealth. As she turns to leave, he becomes aggressive, pushing her down. In a fortunate stroke of luck, Lena slips away and barricades herself in her room while they attempt to break in. Catherine and Lawrence now plot against Lena, desiring her to disappear to inherit everything for themselves. However, Lena fights back. In a desperate move, she cleverly tricks Lawrence, stabbing his hand with a fork before escaping into the woods. Catherine follows closely behind, brandishing a gun, while Lawrence searches for her in his car. Catherine aiming the firearm and firing at her. They corner Lena, prompting a jarring cutoff. The film then flashes back to the present, where Nikki urges Lena to confess everything, just as they learn that Catherine has begun blinking again, an indication that she can finally communicate. Nikki quickly approaches her with the alphabet board, while Lena, anxious, watches from a distance. Catherine spells out the word murder. Later, Lena meets with Lawrence and discloses the situation, which worries him. They devise a sinister plan to take Catherine back to their home and eliminate her before she can expose them. Despite the risks, Lena feels cornered without better alternatives. Soon, they slip into the hospital and move Catherine, lifting her into a wheelchair and fleeing. By the time Nikki arrives, it is too late. She notices the pair leaving in their car. Once back at the estate, Lawrence concocts a drug intended for Catherine, planning to inject her while ensuring the medications in her system mask their foul play. As the plan unfolds, Lena receives a distressing message from the nurse, revealing that Catherine had attempted to save her on that fateful night. This revelation leaves Lena in turmoil, uncertain of whom to trust. Faced with a dilemma, Lena decides to seek the truth for herself. Sending Lawrence out on an errand, she approaches Catherine, asking her if she really saved her that night. Catherine affirms this with a blink, leading us to revisit the climactic flashback. In this pivotal moment, as Lena fled for her life, Lawrence pursued her in his car, intent on harm. Witnessing this, Catherine had a moment of clarity and intervened, shooting out the tire of Lawrence's vehicle, allowing Lena to escape while trying to flee herself. However, she stumbles and falls into the road, resulting in a tragic confrontation with Lawrence, who then runs her over. Returning to the present, Lena prepares to defend Catherine. Concealing a knife, she awaits the right moment to act when Lawrence comes back to administer the drug. In a twist, Lena offers to do it herself, tricking him into unwittingly allowing her to take the syringe. As Lawrence becomes absorbed in his preparations, Lena makes her move and stabs him in a desperate act of self-preservation. But the dosage isn't lethal enough. He manages to fight her off and attempts to finish what he started with Catherine. Lena rises to confront Lawrence, plunging the knife into him one last time, ensuring he can do no more harm. In the aftermath, the police arrive to examine the scene as Lena, Catherine, and Nikki look on at a distance while Jamie's body is taken away. Lena wonders if Nikki will expose their secret, but the nurse remains silent. The movie concludes with a poignant moment as mother and daughter share a long-awaited connection, finally holding hands. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.